Hey there guys, welcome back. My name's Sadaplays. I hope you're all well. In today's video, we're playing Memories of Mars. In Memories of Mars, it's an open world survival game. I'm a recently awoken clone, and I've just realised that there's a time limit on my survivability. There's a solar flare that's coming down, and that's going to obliterate everything on the planet. I've woke up in the cloning facility, and I have to work out how to survive on this planet. It looks like I'm not alone, or I'm not gonna be alone. There's plenty of other clones here, and some of them cases are empty, so there might be some people out in the world already. I have no idea what to expect. It's time to get out of the cloning facility and explore Mars. After spawning in, I noticed that there was these metal contraptions on the floor, just like what was under me when I spawned in. So there was definitely some other clones that were trying to fight for survival on the Red Planet too. Now you can't blame me for trying for punching rocks. Unfortunately, punching this rock didn't give me anything apart from a sore hand and a cracked visor. After a little while, I actually met some other clones. They seemed friendly enough, but we'll have to see how they act a little bit later, once resources are getting low, and once they've got guns, because things always change in these survival games once people have got stuff to lose. So, the other clones seemed friendly. That was okay with me. I wanted to have a little explore. And when we went into the first building there was a memory machine there. And it seemed that you could upload your memories and your attributes and your skills that you've learned throughout the game, just in case a future catastrophe happened and everything got wiped out on the planet. After checking my inventory, I actually found that I had a gun and ammunition. So I equipped it, and I started to have a little explore. On my travels around Mars, I started to notice how beautiful it was. You'd think that Mars is just quite a barren landscape. This was absolutely beautiful. It had day and night cycles, the sky was beautiful, and there was a lot of areas dotted around that just looked crazy. So anyway, I started to see that there were resources on the ground. There was different resources like iron and nitrates and things like that. So I started to collect them. Also, I'd found something called flops. Flops is like the currency that is used in your skill tree to unlock stuff. So first of all, I thought armor would be a good idea. So I used some of the flops that I found to unlock some body armor. The skill tree is really straightforward. You just find the flops, you unlock what you want, and then you find the resources, and then you make that item. But of course, me being me, it was all about guns and explosives. I could see that I could make sniper rifles, optics, explosive, close range weapons, medium range ARs. This was fantastic. All I needed to do was find the resources and to find them flops, which is the currency, and I can start getting geared up and maybe have a little bit of PvP on Mars. After a little bit longer exploring the planet, I started to realise that oxygen, the air was an absolute necessity, and I spawned in with a little bit of air from the cloning facility, but I had no idea how to get any more air after that run out. So I was in a bit of a desperate situation. I'd used all of my air, so I thought the only way to get more air is to kill another player and to take their oxygen if they had an oxygen tank on them. Unfortunately, that guy didn't have any air, but he did have an AR and a mining tool. So I had weapons, I had ammunition, I had a mining tool. We could maybe start to survive, but all I really needed was some oxygen, and I had no idea where to find it. And then I started to hear another player that was coming up the steps to where I just killed the last guy. Should I kill him? I don't know. I just didn't have the heart to kill that guy. I knew that he was just trying to survive like I was, but things were getting desperate. If you look at the bottom left of my screen, you can see my air meter. It's gone red. I'm down to like 3 bars. But then I looked into my survival attributes and I noticed I had some survival points to spend, so I quickly put them into air and anything that maybe would make me survive a little bit longer. As I was doing that though in my inventory, I started to hear a noise right next to me. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. That poor guy I killed had nothing. He just had his 3D printer on him, and by now I was absolutely out of oxygen. I'd looked everywhere. I didn't know how to find it. So I thought the last thing I could do is have a lovely panoramic look around, and then I could waste all my ammo in typical survival game etiquette, so nobody else could have my ammo and shoot me with it when I respawned. So on my first spawn, I suffocated to death with all that gear. Oh my god. But the next spawn, I spawned right next to these really long tubes that run through the desert, and I found air. I actually found some air. I also found some killer robot worms that absolutely scared the living daylights out of me. After managing to kill them AI worms, they actually dropped these flops that I could use to unlock stuff in my inventory, and then I knew where the air was, and that gave me a bit of time to really explore Mars and to see what was about. One of the little areas that I explored had like some dead survivors in there. There was a welding tool and there was some really good loot in there. Maybe I could actually get to a stage where I could make myself a little base now and actually survive well on Mars. I thought that I'd have to build my base, if I did build one, near the oxygen, and that got me thinking, if there's players, if there's PvP, maybe in the future people are going to camp these oxygen outlets or put the base around these oxygen outlets. Oxygen seemed to be the most important thing on the planet. With a few more AI worms that I killed, I managed to accumulate more flops, and with that I could unlock a pulse excavator which would help me to gather resources quicker from the rocks around me. So I had a few resources on me that I managed to gather by hand, and also I managed to unlock the pulse excavator. So all I had to do now was lay down my 3D printer, then I could turn the raw resources that I got into bars and then make that into the excavator. I needed 8 iron bars and 3 aluminium bars, so I did that, and then I had myself a beautiful pulse excavator. So I thought that I was doing pretty good. I could get more resources now, maybe make a base. I was actually surviving on Mars. Or was I? Out of absolutely nowhere, death robot spiders just literally come out of the sand. Oh my god, they were tough. I actually really love the AI in this game. The snakes that come out of the sand just are so cool. It reminds me a bit of the old movie Dune, and I was really loving my experience on Mars. So I started to have a little look around, and I really found some beautiful places. My favourite time on the planet was at night, or just as the sun was setting. There was comets coming down out of the sky, the sun was setting. My god, it really was beautiful. The more I explored, the more loot I started to get. I actually started to find food and oxygen, and I was doing pretty good. But there was always a massive risk. Where there was loot, there was also big danger. I was getting to the stage in the game now where I'd collected enough resources that I could make myself a cloning chamber. And that is one of the most important things in the game. All I've got to do is make a tiny little base, put the cloning chamber in there, and I can respawn at that cloning chamber. That is going to be fantastic if I can manage to do that. The more I explored around the world, the more of a backstory started to emerge to me. That this used to be a massive mining planet, that something happened and it all got abandoned, but still there were like medical facilities about. There were strange machines that I didn't understand what they were. It was really, really cool just looking around. Also, there were like these experiments that had gone wrong. They were obviously trying to grow plants at one stage, and maybe they got infected or something went wrong with the filtration system or something. The plants had died, but there were still areas that the plants were alive. And also you could find these massive, great big excavational machines that they used, and they just looked amazing. This was one of the areas where the plants were still alive, and I was wondering if maybe there was food that was being grown there, but I couldn't find any. Also, I found like these laboratories where when you looked into the options of what they could do, you could make like crazy explosives and things like that. The game was really in depth, and some of the areas were a real pleasure to explore. Stumbled across this simulator, and it seemed to simulate like a shield was breaking over a city, and that to me made me think that this big catastrophic event that might be coming was a bad thing, and maybe it was time for me to back up my memory just in case something bad happened. After backing up my memory and checking out some of these bio areas where plants were being grown, I then heard this noise, and there was this massive light in the air. So I had to go and check out what that was all about. As I got closer to the city where this light was coming from, it actually looked like that area that was in that simulator. I didn't know what to expect, but as I got a little bit closer, all was about to become apparent. It turned out that this was like a random PvP event that happened on the server. A big light would come down from the sky, that would attract players, and you had to like control these points to get the flops that actually was worth a hell of a lot for your survival. So this was going to promote a lot of PvP. So I went in there with my gun out, not really knowing what to expect. Oh god, this got really awkward really quick. That guy is collecting all these flops and we've all got guns. Let's just see what happens. I just couldn't take the awkwardness anymore. I was either going to have to shoot them both or just get out of there through sheer embarrassment. It was so weird, just standing there like that. I guess when there's a lot more people on the server, it just becomes full-on PvP. But maybe us three had never seen this before, but dude, that was scary. Decided to go in the Blue Lobster and see if I could actually get something nice to eat there. But when I started to look around, I couldn't see anything there at all. It was very fishy. After checking out that PvP event, I stumbled across this sign that said not only will this kill you, it will hurt the whole time you are dying. And that was my cue to get out of there and to try and make a base for myself. So what do you think of the base? This isn't actually my base. This was somebody else's base that they'd made. So I thought being a clone that wants to survive on Mars, I thought maybe I could put my cloning chamber in their base, which would let me respawn in there and take their base over. Unfortunately, it wasn't that easy. The game didn't let me, and I was going to have to build my own base with my own cloning chamber. So it was time to get serious and to build my base. I had quite a lot of resources, I knew how to do it, but I had two big problems. Number one was I had to put my resources into the welder to make the base, but not the pulse excavator, which we lost last time we died. So I had to manually get the resources to build the base, which was very time consuming. But the biggest problem was, if you look at the bottom left of the screen, you can see my calories. I was dying of not having any food. So it was a race against time to quickly make the chamber so I could spawn in my base before I died. I'd been through so much to get the resources I needed and just survive as long as I could, and I just didn't want to die to lack of food like this before my base was built, and then I'd never find it again because I couldn't respawn there. This was a real catch-22 situation. The more I worked, the more calories I'd burn. The more calories I'd burn, the quicker I was dying. Oh, I just hoped that I could make this. I just managed to put down the cloning chamber in the nick of time and register with it, and I tried to put the doorway frame on, but alas, we died of lack of food. But now we've got the chamber, we're registered. Hopefully we can respawn back at the beginnings of our new base. I'd done it! I'd got myself a little base, and I was really proud of myself. I felt that I'd been through such an adventure to get that far in the game. Now I've got my little cloning chamber. If I died out in the world, I can respawn back there. So it's time for me to go off and explore the rest of Mars and see what adventures I can get into. Memories of Mars is out on June the 5th. You can wishlist the game to yourself right now. Use the link in the top line of the description below the video and see how long you guys can survive on Mars. I've got big hopes for this game. It was published by 505 Games, and they've published some great games in the past like Terraria, Stardew Valley, Sniper Elite and Dead by Daylight. So I've got big hopes for this game. I really do think at the end of each season there's going to be new AI, new exciting things to see in the game. So the game's never going to get old. It reminded me of a little bit like Rust, Subnautica, DayZ, all rolled into one, but in a really, really interesting and beautiful environment on Mars. I would suggest the game, so click the link in the top line description, go and check it out if you want to. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.